Hi there, and welcome to the Hey Human podcast. Humans, and possibly robots, if you're listening to. I'm your host, Trevor Valle, and we're doing a special episode. It is episode 370. It's the anniversary, and today I'm taking over because my guest is the notable artist, activist, singer, writer, and host of the Hey Human podcast, Susan Ruth.
Yay!
I can drop the voice now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It was a great voice, though.
Hi there.
Hi there. Hi there.
This is cool.
Hi. Happy 7 years to
Seven.
me.
Seven. That is wild.
7. That's for the robots. Oh, wait, no. 0.
001 0110.
Apologies to the robots out there.
So, I've known you. I've been on your podcast.
You have.
You asked me to do this version, which is kind of rad. So
it'd be fun.
Now I get to ask all the cool questions. But I'm trying to think, have you ever been interviewed on this show before?
I was interviewed, I want to say it was the first year anniversary or the 100th episode. I can't remember which one it was. And it was my best friend Ellen Severe interviewed me.
Rad.
Yeah.
So if it was either the first year or the 100th episode, it's been at least 6 years and or 270 episodes.
It's been a long time. I think it was the first year, actually. Yeah, she did a good job. So you got big shoes to fill, my friend.
Oh, I got it. No, I got
you'll
this.
Be fine.
No.
It's funny you said activist, and I thought activist. I said, in my brain pan, I think, I guess I am.
You're totally an activist.
But I've never considered that moniker at all.
Well, that's an interesting place to start, because the general term activism is that you are active in promoting something, usually of at least you would hope, a humanocentric thing, like rights or freedoms or things like that. I've always thought of you as an activist personally, that's why I said it, because you are constantly fighting for the benefit and rights of LGBTQIA, the trans population of the world right now, and you've been a very loud and strong voice in allyship, as well as just promoting goodwill, especially with this podcast.
And prison stuff.
And yes, very much.
Prison stuff is really big for me. I'm getting warm, so I'm already stripping. Hello, it's very exciting.
That's your other podcast? We'll deal with that in a while.
Yeah.
But yes, Susan Ruth just took off her hoodie.
I took off my hoodie. Woohoo! And thank you for the cocktail.
Oh,
we're doing this right?
Cheers.
What is this called? Cheers.
It's a version of a cocktail that I came up with called the pinstripe soup. Think of soup.
No, I love that.
No, so we'll call that the pinstripe soup. The original is the pinstripe suit. It's effectively a rum old fashioned, but since I don't have all the access to all of my wet bar here, other than I've got thousands of dollars worth of rum, but not the specific stuff I need to make cool tiki cocktails.
You are a big rum fan.
Yeah. No, there's a couple bottles over there that I could sell to pay rent.
Don't break into his apartment, please.
No, you won't make it.
I feel like this apartment is probably booby-trapped anyway.
I haven't shown you all of it, so we'll just put it that way. Anyway, no, we're getting to you.
You know what would be a great booby trap? Because historically, the people that break into your houses are probably men. No offense to men everywhere, but historically...
No, yes, all men,
statistically, men are the ones breaking in. So, this is just... Everybody loves boobs, let's just say that. Mm-hmm. Straight, gay, women, men, everybody loves boobs. Boobs are interesting.
Boobs are rad.
We start out with the boobs, Boobs are big. They don't have to be big boobs.
And they can be small.
They can be small, but they're great. So wouldn't a great booby trap be actual, like a model of boobs that's just around your house, and as soon as somebody goes like, oh, and they go to touch it, because everybody would, then they blow up or whatever it is. Wouldn't that be a great actual booby trap?
That'd be, you could take one of the one of the live dolls or something like that,
there you go.
lean it against the wall, and then just have...
Irresistible.
Yeah, and then just have like a chloroform gas or something.
Irresistible.
Just be like, whoa, what's that?
I think we're onto something,
thud.
Trevor. I think we need to market this immediately.
An actual booby trap.
Just saying. Anyway, go on.
We tangent a lot.
Hey, I'm all about tangents.
I like that.
My favorite thing in the whole world
Is it tangent?
is a conversation that's tangential.
Okay, I thought we were going to get into math there for a second.
My favorite thing in the whole world, and of all the things I do, is talking with people. Not to talk, but to hear people's stories and to people watch and all of that. I love it, love it, love it. So this is right up my alley. Now the tables are turned.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
But that's a good definition of an activist, because you are listening to people's stories and spreading them and sharing them with other people, be they marginalized, be they other activists, prisoners, reformed prisoners, priests, writers, singers, artists, storytellers.
And to be fair, I've also interviewed people that I don't align with at all, that one could argue don't need their voices amplified, but I am curious as to why they are the way they are. And then it's not amplification, it's just me trying to get to the bottom of things.
Right, and you're not the kind to do softball questions. How did you start this podcast? What came up with the idea? And you're not afraid of challenge on any of your guests.
Well, to be fair, generally speaking, even when I don't align with my guests, every single person that has been on the show has been gracious with their time, energy, and word, which is lovely. Even coming into it knowing that I don't align with them. I tend to go to the Grand Dragon of the KKK guy, episode 30,
Yeah.
as a great example. But to me, that show is such a touchstone for me because, A, I thought it was very important to have that conversation. B, he was gracious with his time and honest with me. I think that's really something to say, hey, thank you for that, because you didn't have to be that way.
Right.
And I acknowledge that.
Right.
And 3, this is a very strong drink.
No, it's not.
It is for me.
I mean, you're tiny.
It's very, very good. But in 3, I learned so much from that experience about myself and about the world at large, about him, about what to look for, honestly.
Oh, not necessarily dog whistles, but...
How normal he was.
Okay.
Normal. That was my big argument for the show in general, that episode in general, was that the normalcy of it, of the way he thought. And I say this a lot, is that we will never get anywhere together as long as we don't shine lights on those places. And as long as we make those kinds of folks into nightmares and monsters, we aren't going to get to the root of why they're that way in the first place. And again, you can go back and listen to the episode. It was a very important one for me, but he said, I look for the people that feel disenfranchised. I look for the kids whose parents aren't paying attention to them. I look for the lonely. I look for the self-loathing. I look for that in people. And I think it's so important to hear that. Was that a gunshot?
No, that was a backfire.
Okay.
I'll let you know if it's a gunshot.
Die.
No, we're not. We're fine.
Booby trapped. We're fine. I've got 2.
Yes.
Whoa, anyway, and to answer the other question, Hey Human came about. No, God, this is gonna be one of those shows that just rambles on.
I'll drift it back.
Apologies from the onset. So this show started as a result of me responding. Over emotionally. I responded so emotionally to a series of shootings. The Pulse shooting, San Bernardino shooting.
Yep.
They happened relatively close together.
Yep.
I lost my mind over it, sobbing, crying, and I called my dad, because what do you do, at least what do I do when I'm in that state? I call my dad, and we chatted. I was on my way and people have heard this story probably, maybe some haven't, but I was on my way to the grocery store into the banality of getting dinner and trying to understand the human condition and what makes people behave the way they do. And we, of course, later find out that self-loathing, at least in the Pulse situation, self-loathing was the motivator. But at the time, I just said, Dad, I don't understand how people can treat each other like this. I don't get it. We are lost, and I don't see us finding our way back. And I think that really struck my father, because that's not the optimism maybe he was used to in me. And he said, you have to keep looking for the light. You have to keep looking for the good in people. The old, Mr. Rogers ideal.
Yep.
And I didn't know how to do that. So I walk into the grocery store and was met with a series of humans from all walks of life who reminded me how beautiful we are and to not give up. And again, I speak of banality. They did nothing ostentatious. It was just the first man that came toward me said, good evening, sister. And the way he said it, my heart broke open. And then as I, moved throughout and just the other people that I interacted with reminded me that really the truth of the matter is we are all just here. And that we eat, we sleep, we breathe, we love, we die. And all that stuff in the middle that seems like chaos, we can still look at each other and say, I see you, I see you. And all these thoughts were going through my head, and I get back in the car and I thought, I want to remind everybody and myself, everything I do is selfish too. Everything I do is to remind myself that this is all worth sticking around for, and which is hard to hold on to sometimes.
Yes.
And I got in the car and I said, okay, I'm going to do something, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a podcast, and I'm going to talk to people, and I'm going to try my best to be as open and honest and to facilitate honesty back and see what happens and see if I can't remind people that we are all in this together, and that our shadow, as much as our light, make up all of us, and that we have to touch all of it in order to survive.
Now,
that's a lot.
But it's a lot, and that opens a lot of avenues. And I want to, before I continue, I want to ask, where can I go in this podcast? What questions can I ask
you? Can ask anything you want. I'm an open book. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I did it once in college.
I mean, that again, that's your other podcast. We'll pitch that later.
I'm going to be rumbling. That's rambling.
Rum rambling. That's good. Hey, look, I've got mezcal in my tea. Yeah. So,
Lord,
fuck it. Let's go.
Let's go.
So, you talk about this light in everyone. You have
light and shadow.
Light and shadow. You have everyone from friends, artists, even the Grand Wizard, Granddad Dragon of the KKK. Holy shit. Yeah, I completely forgot about that until you said it. Do you think everyone is redeemable?
It's a great question.
Like, where does, like, for example, Karl Popper's paradox of tolerance, where is your point that you do not tolerate the intolerant?
Well, look, nobody wants to see children and animals hurt. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big one, right? Oh. Yeah,
there's a...
I can edit that out. So.
I mean, you don't have to. It's the life in the city.
It is.
Yeah. Currently coming to you from East Hollywood, which is not exactly, shall we say, a unmonitored area of LAPD. Yeah, no, there's it's a bit of a police presence. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so
is that a police helicopter we're hearing? I used to get those overhead in Los Feliz a lot.
Yeah, Los Feliz, you were like a neighbor for quite a while. They're not necessarily circling. That may just have been a...
Are they looking for you?
No.
You can be honest.
No one knows I'm
safe
here.
harbor, my friend.
Nope, nobody knows I'm here. It's all good. You don't know where I am.
Are people, is everyone, I mean, I've interviewed murderers, and again, I repeat myself that in order to talk to somebody who has taken another person's life in malice, and not self-defense, I have to say that I have to see that murder in me too.
Okay.
Because I challenge anyone to tell me that they've never once had a moment where like, oh, fucking kill that person. Whatever it is, somebody cuts you, you know what I mean? Even that fleeting moment, that's the shadow showing itself for a second. Some people can't regulate that.
Okay.
I interviewed the Chuck E. Cheese murderer.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible, Nathan Dunlap, incredible conversation. And we have maintained, for lack of a better word, friendship. He's remorseful for what he's done. He's never getting out of prison.
Right.
He told me he hated to read, so I'm an asshole and I send him books all the time.
I mean, part of the redemption process, maybe.
I just think there's such beauty and magic in reading, that it opens people up, and honestly, I think that's part of the whole book ban craze. Mm-hmm. They don't want people to open up. They don't want people to understand the mystery of themselves that can be discovered through the written word.
If you hear rustling, I'm taking notes because now things are getting interesting. I have to open my Monster Manual journal here.
Do you like that journal?
Thank you.
I have lots of journals that have never been written in. It's a weird collection fetish. Anyway, I don't know about true psychopaths. Mm-hmm. Let's pick Ted Bundy. That's a great example.
Jesus.
I don't know that Ted Bundy is a redeemable person.
Okay.
In this lifetime. I believe in reincarnation. I know I'm woo-woo, whatever. I've died twice in this life. That's a literal. I've died literally twice. Mm-hmm. And the things I've seen or experienced with that, I don't think this is the only rodeo. That being said, I don't think some people are able to see past their shadow. I don't know what else to call it. And they never will. For whatever reason, they hold on to it. Some can't do it because of mental illness. Mm-hmm. Some can't do it because they lack empathy. And in order to be a member of society on this planet, empathy is a skill to foster. Some people have more, some people have less. Sociopaths make great CEOs. We know this.
We're experiencing it right now.
Yeah. And politicians.
Interesting.
But, I mean, it's not for me to say either. And it's not religion that I'm referring to here, what I'm about to say, but the redeeming moment in death, I don't know if it's I see God and God's going to punish you. I think maybe, and I don't know, the truth of it all, right. But I think maybe the redeeming moment in death is realizing all the pain that you have perpetrated against others and against yourself.
That's kind of a karmic outlook.
Yeah,
loosely.
Yeah, loosely. I mean, in karma, we are required to have heaped upon us what we have inflicted, right? That's the karmic debt.
Yes.
I don't know if it's that. It's more like a sentence. And to me, I feel like, and again, I don't know, I'm making it all up and as to a belief system, but it's something more akin to when we shuffle off to Buffalo, take off the mortal coil, and we kind of get together with our group or our guides or our God or whatever it is, and we say, well, okay, I was a bit of an ass, or I was a terrible lunatic, or I was a wonderful person, or whatever it was I was, and now I want to experience something that's either the antithesis of that, or I want to experience what it was that I did from the other perspective. And I don't know, again, that seems more interesting to me, the learning curve of it all. How fucked up would it be to think Hitler dies and comes... Now, I know the timeline's wrong. I'm just using these people as an example.
Right.
Hitler dies. Horrible person. We can agree. I think we can agree.
Hi, it depends. I'm Jewish.
It depends on who you ask, sure. Yeah. But you and I agree.
Yeah.
Between the two of us, at least. I don't know about the listeners. Between the two of us, we agree. Hitler, terrible person.
Yeah, not even a good artist.
Needed a good hug somewhere along the way. Wouldn't it be so insane if in the next life he was, in fact, somebody that was a justice warrior who spoke out for... let's just say Jewish people everywhere. I mean, wouldn't that be so fascinating? I know most of us would like to think of him as burning in hell if there is a hell, or, getting his toenails and testicles ripped apart and whatever. But wouldn't it be more interesting if instead he came back and he fought valiantly for that which he was against?
That raises the question, though, do they have a sentience and a concept of what they've done before without knowing it? Are they aware?
I think that, again, my personal opinion, I think once one is incarnated onto this planet, they drink the forgetting potion. Some people have vague recollections. There's lots of research into kids remembering things, and then slowly as they get older, they forget. But I think not remembering is... Because how effective could you be if you said, I'm going to fight for justice for anti-Semitism because I was Hitler? You know what I mean? I think that's a lot of baggage. Whereas if you reincarnate and you say, I'm going to fight for justice for anti-Semitism, it's just your soul is learning it, but the human mind that is facilitating the experience doesn't know the difference. They just know they have this huge draw to that. Kind of sci-fi, I guess, but I like it.
A little. And that also brings up the whole activism part. Where do you draw the line, or that hypothetical situation of really, really bad person being reincarnated, drinking the forgetting potion, and having a draw toward the opposite of what they were like? Where do you draw the line between selfless acts and selfish ones?
Ooh.
The ones, like, say the forgetting potion didn't take, and they're like, I need to be a better person, so I learn. I'm going to give these people food because it makes me feel good.
Well, that's that, let not the right hand know what the left hand is doing.
Exactly.
That's in the Bible, right?
Yep.
And that's the interesting thing. And I don't begrudge anyone who's doing good in the world if they feel compelled to then turn around and say, look at the good I did. At least they're freaking doing good. You know what I mean? Don't stop doing the good stuff. But... is that altruism? Is that really... it's a great philosophical question. Because it's really serving one's ego if they have to tell everyone about how good they are. That being said, we are ego-based life forms that are desperately in our lifetime trying to figure out how not to let the ego be the boss of us, right? Most of us. Yeah. And, I mean... there's also an argument that could be made for, if I do this good thing and I tell everyone about this good thing, maybe it's going to inspire 4 more people to do a good thing. There's something to be said for that. But I see what you're saying there. I do think ego can get in the way of goodness, but as long as it's on the side of goodness, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, there's numerous people, YouTube hosts and things like that are doing these acts of, it seems altruism, but they're doing it for what seems to be fame.
Of course.
I will help these 100 people. It's like, well, why aren't you using your fame and your huge amount of resources it seems that you have to help more than 100? Why don't you fund technology that will help everyone?
You look at an Elon Musk, for example. Look, I believe that people can do whatever the hell they want with their money. They earned it. It's their money. Would I like to see them do things that better humanity? Of course I would. But it's not their responsibility. And I understand that. It's a weird thing to have your ethical, empathic mind go up against, or heart, I guess, not even your mind, go up against reason of why people do what they do. And the ego, look, egos are tricky.
Egos suck.
Lizard brains, tricky.
Yeah.
People are shitty, but they're not also shitty. That was, again, I go back to Richard, the KKK dude. He was funny. He was entertaining. You know, he was present. It's interesting. I mean, had I been a black person, had he known I was Jewish, it probably would have gone completely differently. And certainly my parents were freaked out that I went to talk to him. Understandably.
Yes. I'm sure, like, some friends were either like, hey, what are you doing?
No, for sure. But here's the news flash. Some of your friends align with the things that guy thinks.
Yeah.
Whether they want to admit it or not. Whether it's in the secret places of their heart and mind.
Or even publicly.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people carry that stuff quietly. And they don't even think of themselves as being racist or xenophobic or anti-Semitic or anti-LGBTQ or whatever it is. But
is that how they were raised? Is that what
part
they
of it,
learned?
Like, little kids could give a rip about what somebody looks. There's an age, I think, where they start to pay attention. Mm-hmm. Where cruelty steps in. But that's ego. They want to feel better than that guy or that kid or whatever. Are they learning it at home? I mean, potentially, of course.
Why is there only one kid that looks different in my class? Like,
sure.
Mom, Dad, why does this girl have long hair and
when
I
don't?
When I was
in second grade, there was a Asian family. The two little girls were in my class. And it's been so long now, I don't remember where they were from. Not a great grasp of English yet. Lovely, and none of the kids wanted to play with them because they were weird. I've been weird my whole life. I'm like, nobody else is gonna call me weirder. I'm already weird. and here's something interesting that happened. So I would play with them as best to our abilities between the language group. But you know what? Joy and fun needs no language. Laughter needs no language, and play needs no language. So. Mm-hmm. But then Christmas vacation happened, and everybody went home, and we came back to school, again, second grade, came back to school, and that whole family perished in a car accident.
Holy shit.
They weren't used to driving over, icy bridges in the Pacific Northwest and all that, and yeah, died. Everybody died, and then suddenly, everybody was their best friend in the whole world. Death is weird like that, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm not the one being interviewed here, but I call that memorial memory, where you, as soon as somebody you know or you respect or you worship, like idolization, things like that, as soon as they die, there's an immediate... even if you didn't really know the person, there's an immediate parasocial connection.
Of course.
Of, oh, wow, I remember them. I remember doing this one thing with them that was great.
That's how desperately we want to connect as human beings.
Exactly.
Tina Turner just passed away.
Oh, Jesus,
this episode's going to come out in July, but we are currently in the month of May. And she just passed away. And a legend.
Yes.
Just absolute legend. Beautiful human being inside, strong as freaking get out, and from what she came from, and the abuse she suffered, and all the
adversity.
Above.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Let me tell you, the world came out and said, "Oh, not Tina Turner," because some people transcend even their own humanness and do become this. They enter the pantheon, for lack of a better way to describe it.
No, exactly. And Tina Turner's one of them.
Robin Williams. I sobbed. Have I met the man? No. When I heard he died, I full on body shaking, snot coming out my nose, sobbed.
Oh yeah, no, I lost my shit.
Yeah.
100%. No, are we allowed to swear on this? I forget. Okay.
Yeah. This is human.
Yeah, no, it's like we have to get it out.
If anyone's even still listening to my boring ass.
Oh no, you are not a boring ass. Not at all. This is.
I tend to jabber on though. So this is why I like to listen to other people, because if you get me talking, forget about it.
Well, the thing is though,
I will keep talking.
The thing is, that's part of the entire concept of this podcast.
Listening?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we get to listen to you. Now
I do get my moments in there, trust me.
Oh yeah, you're
do you know what's funny though? When I go to post the show, one of the things I do when I listen to it in real time before it goes up into the everybody sphere.
Right.
I just go through really quick and make sure everything's working functionally all the way through the show, just in little moments. And I'm generally pleased that most of the thing I hear back is my guest and not me talking.
This one's going to be weird, huh?
It's going to be weird.
Now, okay, that's an interesting thing to transition to. I've been writing a couple things down. You very specifically for a minute were really, really focusing on the joy and fun of things.
With children?
Yeah, with children, but...
Adults can do it too.
Exactly, adults can do it too. And as part of the human condition and joy and fun, you do a select number of things that bring joy to people. And I would think you would have fun doing them. Art and music and writing and now filmmaking. Now, why do you do these things? Are you trying to bring joy into the world? Are you trying to express yourself? Is it ego?
I mean, all the stuff, all the things. I think in the beginning of my music career, when I would write a song, I would think, this is for me and me to perform. It's my song. It didn't occur to me that other people could. This is in the beginning, it didn't occur to me that other people could perform something that I'd written and take it and make it their own. And that I had little to do with it other than being the conduit for which that song came into the world. Mm-hmm. Anymore, I don't really attach myself to something I create. Now, do I feel good in the moment of creation? Yeah. Am I trying to tell a story maybe that I've told? But I'm also a storyteller, so I'm gleaning off of other things or other experiences or overheard conversations or a movie or another song even. Mm-hmm. And as for the painting, I don't even know where that comes from. I feel very little responsibility for what comes out with the painting. I don't plan it. I sit down and I just start slinging paint around and I think, oh, that kind of looks like that thing. Oh. And then it becomes whatever it's supposed to be. And I'm just there to help bring it through. I'm holding its hand to pull it through. And then once I've done that, I might look at it and say, that looks like, I'm an abstractist, first of all. So, right?
Yes.
So I might look at it and say, that looks like, an elephant smoking a cigar. Fine. To me. And then I'll put it up in a show, and it's fun to go around and listen to, without people knowing that it's me that painted it. It's fun to go around and listen to what other people have to say, because they are bringing all of themselves into the experience. They were communing with that painting or that song, or, now that I'm delving into movies, any story, and you can tell a story with all sorts of different mediums, that's completely all about whatever they're bringing to that moment. I have no control over it. I don't want any control over it. And I'm delighted to hear whatever it is that their experience brings. I mean, that's why I listen to music, mm-hmm. right? I just watched Ted Lasso. It's the second from the last episode. I cried my ass off. I cried because it was beautifully written. I cried because the acting is wonderful. I cried because all of my trauma that I have from my childhood, from my young adulthood, whatever, was being released because there was a recognition of pain and pain, or laughter and laughter, or whatever it was. I mean, I've cried from laughing, and from that connection. But the people writing that show they don't even know me. They have no concept of what, I mean, some truths are universal, some pain is universal.
Yes.
But they don't know I'm sitting on the floor of my living room in my too big pajama pants, crying uncontrollably, watching this show. They don't know I exist. And yet I'm having a real experience based on everything I'm bringing to the table in that moment. And that's all we can do as creators, is to let the thing come through us, let it exist, and then send it on its way. And know that even if it only touches down into the hands of one person or 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people or whatever, it's meant for that person, for whatever they're experiencing, for however they take it in. That's freaking cool. And it's beautiful. And it has little to do with me. I was lucky enough to be the conduit. I use that word all the time because look, there's that, the Hunter S. Thompson saying of, we want to live our lives so that we go kicking, we skid in and we're on fire and covered in muck and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's true. But...
well, like my tattoo says, buy the ticket, take the ride.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the truth is, if we were on our deathbed, and people say this all the time, nobody's gonna be on their deathbed being like, oh, I should have paid that bill, or oh, I should have gone to work that day, or oh, whatever, whatever it is. But if in that moment of passing, we were to see the ripple, every single person that we touched, even minutely, man, that's the ride. I say it all the freaking time. It's not Ithaca. It's the journey to Ithaca, and all the people you meet along the way, and what they're giving you, and what you're giving them. But you're not really. You don't even have to try.
Do you do that?
I don't know. I'm rambling.
No. This is perfect. This is fascinating.
This is why I don't get stoned. You wouldn't believe what happens when that happens. Every once in a while.
Damn.
I have the weirdest conversations with definitely the people who aren't in the room, but boy, they're fascinating.
That'll be maybe the 400th episode. Susan gets stoned.
Can you imagine? That'd be hilarious.
I want that to be yourself interviewing yourself high as fuck.
Oh my Lord.
That would be great. But
that'd be hilarious.
You mentioned being the conduit through.
I think I just talked for 20 minutes on that random ass. Anyway,
that's
go on.
That's right. That's the point of this episode.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody else gets to hear us talk. Okay. This is about you.
Yeah.
When you were talking about being that conduit, the difference between art and music, is your music a conduit as well? Do the lyrics come to you, or do you work on them? Do you like...
Oh, all the above. I mean, it's a craft for sure, but they do... One of my favorite things to do in songwriting is to sit with the other person. I like to write together. That's my favorite. I'm a lyricist, a melody writer. I can play guitar, I can play piano. Nobody's going to pay me to do it. You know what I mean? If I had to do a show, I could cover myself, but it's not like anyone's banging down my door to say, please be my piano player, guitar player. That being said,
Yet.
I love words and I love the way they fit together. And one of my favorite things in songwriting is when I have a writing partner. It tends to be an artist. And we'll talk about whatever's going on in their life or my life, and we'll craft something around that feeling or that experience. But again, it doesn't have to be of me. It's hard. It's so hard to explain.
Well, no, a good example, I think, that immediately comes to mind is "I won't fuck you if you don't vote."
That was a fun one. That happened in 10 minutes.
It happened in 10 minutes.
I was sitting. My friend Sammy and I, we were having Thai food. It was during the pandemic. We were drinking sake and eating Thai food. We were talking about the mess that is politics and everything. We were talking about dating, and Sammy's gay. And he was like, yeah, it's hard to find dates where the people care about anything. And I'm, I don't know what I am, but, and I said, yeah, for sure, I've broken up with someone before because of their absolute ignorance and refusal to vote, which I was like, I just can't abide by that. It's so important. I'm a full believer. You get to do whatever you want in your life, but I also get to make choices for my life. And it's important for me that that I stand up for things, and I don't know that I can be romantically involved with somebody that doesn't stand up for things. It just doesn't align with me.
Activist.
They're it's fine, but they're able to do whatever they want. Anyway, that being said, I was a little tipsy, and I said, I can't fuck you if you don't vote. Like that's kind of a stopgap there, And he said, "What did you say?" I said, "Yeah, I mean, like, if I'm with a partner, like, if they don't vote, I can't be, how can you be sexually turned on by somebody that doesn't care enough to vote?" And he said, we had to write that. And so
who got on the piano first?
He's a great piano player.
I remember moving that piano.
Yes. The piano is very heavy. So he sat down at the piano, and a lot of those lines, he contributed, of course, as I contributed, but, I mean, my pussy is a patriot. That was...
Now, it
was so much fun to do.
We do have an important election coming up.
We do.
So,
and it's out there. There's a YouTube video for it.
Please, it's a great video.
Here's the thing. We filmed that video during the pandemic lockdown. I had not had a haircut, and I can't even tell you how long. I look back at that, and I think, wow, I am a mess. And we did squirt guns. We had the penis guns, and we squirted with each other. And it's a total shit show, but it's fun, and it has a good message. So
I absolutely enjoy that. But see, that I think that goes to what you were saying as a conduit. There was something important going on. There was something to be said, and then that came to you. When it comes to painting, as a caveat. Just to very briefly, why I'm really fascinated in this part. My mother had a master's degree in art.
Cool.
And art history, specifically on the pre-pop art abstract expressionism.
Interesting. I don't know anything about art, really, so...
When you said you're a conduit and the painting just does itself, I was immediately reminded of the concept of auto painting that Jackson Pollock did. He understood how the paint would move and flow and just let it come to him.
I just talked about this on another episode, which when this comes out, it'll be a month earlier or 2 months earlier, but I never got into Jackson Pollock. And then I saw his work in a museum, and I was up close on it, and all the brush strokes and the cigarette butts and the bottle caps and all this stuff, and looking at that, and being transported into the moment where he was making that piece or those pieces and being absolutely enthralled. And I got it. In that moment, I got it. Art is funny like that. You can look at something and think, a 4-year-old could do that. And maybe so. Maybe so. But everything is so subjective. Yes, thank you. That's the horn believing in what I just said.
Exactly. It's like somebody was celebrating.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so subjective. Yeah, they could have been doing art right now.
I don't get art sometimes, but sometimes I really get it. Sometimes you have to look at a thing and you go, oh, that's like a Rothko, for example. You think. And
yes,
again,
please.
I don't know a lot about art. I didn't study it. I started painting on a whim. It was just a happenstance moment. But like a Rothko, you think, oh, that's like, it's a big dot inside of a square. I don't get it, And yeah, sure, that's hard to get. But then you look at it in history. Yeah. In the history of it, that blew people away because it wasn't done. Van Gogh, who nobody gave a shit about, and now, his paintings are $10, $20, $30 million. But that lovely Doctor Who moment where he's being brought...
I don't watch Doctor Who.
Oh, I'm going to show it to you. It's so cute. I cry every time I see it. Art is funny that way. And I don't understand all the art. I would never pretend to. And if I don't like something, I don't like it. And I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to impress anyone by knowing all about a thing. I find that in its own way quite boring. You get to not like stuff if you don't want to like it. Yeah,
I mean, not liking things is fine.
It's fine.
It's Somebody once brought a great analogy to that of there are people in the world that say things like, I like pancakes, and somebody else going, oh, that's cool, I like waffles.
And then they fight to the death.
Well, but no, those are the other people that are like, I like pancakes, so that means you don't like waffles, you heretic. It's like, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
And that's like...
That's tribalism, though.
That's tribalism, but pulling all of this together, you like pancakes, you look for the people that like waffles because maybe you want to know why.
Are you talking about the royal you or me, Susan?
You, Susan.
Yeah, that's very true. I want to know all about the waffle eaters if I like pancakes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you may write a song about that. You may work that into your art. You could possibly put that into film. That's what is so fucking fascinating about you, at least to me. No, for real.
You have to get out more.
What are you talking about?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just being self-deprecating because it's the...
No, I get it.
I just feel... I don't know. The world is a curious, magical, beautiful, weird place. And there's people doing things way more interesting than Neil. His mind is so crazy.
Which Neil?
Neil Gaiman.
I need to call him.
I finally watched Sandman. I have the comic, but I finally watched it.
Right on.
And we kept, texting each other as I'm watching it. I'm like, holy shit.
I knew the last two episodes, Calliope and Dream of a Thousand Cats, would hit you.
Well, that one and the Wings one.
Oh, wait, Sound of Her Wings, of course.
Oh, I cried.
But Calliope, as an artist and someone that looks for that muse in life.
It was really fascinating to watch that and think about, my mother's an archaeologist.
Yes.
Right? And a Greek historian.
Yes.
And so the idea of the muses, a muse being trapped by this guy and obviously the ramifications of what that all meant.
Yeah, much darker in the comic. Holy shit.
It was funny, as I'm watching the show, just to the heavens, I kept saying, thank you. Thank you for everything you've gifted me. I appreciate it. And did the music exist? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? But it sure feels real. Because in those moments where the idea comes into your head, I don't know about everybody else, but I certainly don't feel like I have any ownership of it at all. I feel like I was just lucky enough to show up and to prove my point with that, if I were to make one.
No, make your point. Let's go.
Let's use Hollywood, for example. 3 movies come out within 2 months of each other. First of all, movies take a long time to make. So the fact that 2 or 3 movies come out at the same time within months of each other that have the same story, the same idea, the same whatever.
Armageddon, Deep Impact.
Yeah, that's a great example. Sure.
Volcano, Dante's Peak.
Sure.
Yeah.
That the ideas are floating by us and we are pulling them down. Some people are masters at sculpting the idea once it comes to be. For example, not my friend, your friend.
No. It's, yeah.
My friend only in my mind, but because I think he's so interesting. But there are people that masterfully take those moments, the Calliope kiss, and turn it into such greatness, such beauty. I aspire to that, certainly.
Do you aspire to that? You don't think you have that in what you do?
I think we all have moments where we touch that. And I feel that perhaps I can hear the whispers stronger than some other folks sometimes. But I don't know that what I do is... it's hard. It's so hard to explain. It's not mine. None of it is mine. It doesn't,
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, none of it belongs to me.
That's what I was looking for. Because flashing back to the concept of ego and selflessness and selfishness, what you're doing is an altruistic act because you are channeling those whispers and you're creating things that other people can make their own. Like your music, they can cover it and make their own. Like your art, you see one thing, they see another, and you're fine with that. You're not the person going, no, There's a reason why that line is bisecting this vertical painting, Rothko, light red on black, that kind of thing. And with your filmmaking, you're telling a story, and some people will connect with it and see I was there, or they're empathic toward that.
I wrote the short film that I'm working on right now, that I'm editing right now. I wrote it so quickly. I've had the idea of it since I was a little girl. But when I actually finally sat down to write it, it came out pretty fast. And it's funny because I sent it around to a handful of people just to get notes. Say, hey, will you read this? I'd love to hear it. People who are in the industry, quote unquote, that I thought would give me good advice. And what was fascinating is, for the most part, people were like, whoa.
Was that the one I read?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the first it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people were like, whoa, this is, and that was great. But there were a couple people who read it and they just didn't get it. Now, I had two ways to look at that. I could be like, oh my God, I'm a hack. This is terrible. I'm never going to write another thing ever because these two people didn't get it. Or I could say, that story isn't for them. And the fact that they didn't get it is totally fine.
It's not their fault.
It's nothing. It's just,
exactly.
It's not their story. And it's okay. Are they still my friends? Absolutely, 1,000%. It doesn't even, it means nothing. Not in a shitty way. It means nothing in that they're entitled to have their experience as much as the few people that dug it were entitled to their experience. And it will stop you and devastate you and throw you in the grave if what other people think of you or your work matter that much. And I have had experiences where it did matter when I was younger. And one of the most brutal and excruciating and beautiful and redemptive moments of my life. I can't remember if I've talked about this before on the show.
We can get to now.
Well, I had a performance. It was at the Johnny Cash, and apologies to those who have heard this before. Johnny Cash.
I haven't, so.
Johnny Cash Museum in Nashville. I had a show. I got asked to perform, and in Nashville, what's called a round happens most of the time. You go, and you and 3 or 4 other people all on stage together. One by one, you go through your song, you perform it. The next person goes. It's fun. Everybody plays along with each other, sings harmonies, whatever. It's comfort. I grew up in doing the band thing, and going to Nashville. You certainly don't have a band to hide you, and you don't. And you're playing an instrument, which, again, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, I can carry a tune, but nobody's hiring me to be their session player. And so I arrived to the Johnny Cash Museum, and I quickly learned that it is not set up for in the round. We individually are going up to perform.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like Johnny Cash, a man in his guitar, when in the moments he didn't have his backup band.
It was...
Wow.
It was not great. So
that's a terrifying moment.
I was so nervous. So nervous. I had not yet felt that I was at a place with my guitar playing where people wouldn't throw vegetables at me. Or fruit, as we know, tomato. It's a fruit, everybody.
Yes.
Don't add me.
No, it is absolutely a fruit. I'm a scientist. It's a fruit.
Yeah. So anyway, I get up and I start to play a song, and in my brain pan, all I can think of is how terrible I'm doing. Like, God, I was just eating myself alive. Just eating myself alive. Get through the song. And it was a song I wrote for Reba. Or I didn't for her. She put it on a record.
Yeah.
It's a misnomer to say that I wrote it for her. I wrote the song with my friends.
And she liked it and put it on a record. Yeah.
So I get off the stage. I'm so upset with myself. I'm so mad at myself. I'm mad. Why didn't you practice more? Why are you not better on your instrument? I mean, the worst things that a person could say to themselves, I was doing it. And I sat in the very itty-bitty corner of the room, convinced that everyone hated me and thought I was a failure and a fraud. And I had a drink. I don't remember. It must have been a wine cooler or something. I know that sounds very 1986.
Wow,
but,
yeah.
But it was something that wasn't a beer because I can't drink beer because of my allergy. But and I drank it really quickly to try and ease the momentary pain. I'm not even a drinker really, but for whatever, it's like, oh God, I gotta get rid of this pain. And then I sat it down. And in the Johnny Cash Museum, everything has Johnny Cash's face on it.
Yeah.
With the sticker or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was a to-go bag or something next to me. And it had Johnny Cash's face on it. And I shit you not. I turned and looked at this bag hiding in the back of the venue. And Johnny Cash came alive, Harry Potter style, and looked at me and said, "Why are you being such a pussy?" No lie. That happened.
Whoa.
And I looked back at him and I said, "You're right, Johnny Cash. I am being a pussy." And then my name was called because I had to do it 3 times. Mm-hmm. I get back up and I do another song or whatever.
And you rip the fuck out of it.
But here's, well, probably not, but here's the first of all, that was a crazy moment.
Well, yeah. But knowing you have these moments. I'm glossing by it.
But so I go home at the end and my friend has posted a video on these social medias of me doing that first song.
Okay.
This is my reaction. I start watching me and I'm sweats, panicking, knowing I did the worst thing in the whole. I was so bad. It was awful. And I start watching. I immediately turn it off and I start crafting a text. Mm-hmm. Please, for the love of God,
put this on private. Take it down. Make it go away.
I was so horrified. I was crying. I mean, I don't know. It was a way over the top response to the situation. It was calling up the demons of every moment anyone told me I was worthless, and all of that. It was all coming up in that moment, and I'm writing this text. I haven't sent it yet, or maybe it was an email, whatever, and I was going to send it to her, and then I went back just to prove my point. I'm going to watch it again, and I can only get through the first few seconds before panic, but this time I watched 6 seconds. And I'm like, oh God, and I keep writing on the thing, and then I go back again as if to torture myself. But this time, I actually listened to it. Because the other couple times I was so in my shit that I wasn't hearing it for real.
You were being objective, not subjective. You were being your own worst critic.
Oh, it was terrible. So then I went back and I watched it again, and this time I was watching and I thought, oh, wait, I mean, I'm singing in tune. I'm playing in the and then it took about 4 or 5 times of going, and finally I got all the way through it, and I had this epiphany, this beautiful, albeit painful, walking through the fire moment of release. And I realized it was fine. And all those lies that any shitty person or my mom or whatever has ever told me, they were the ones talking to me when I had gotten up there. And then Johnny Cash in his weird hallucinatory acid flashback moment saying, just go do it. Who the fuck cares what anybody else thinks? Why are you being such a pussy? That when I was back in my room and trying to write this email, and boy, the release, I sobbed the best kind of crying. And then my email to her changed, and I said, thank you. Thank you for posting this, and I explained everything I had experienced, and I said, this has changed my life. As something so little, but it changed my life. And that I have never been so shitty. I mean, I'm still, every once in a while, I can be kind of shitty to myself. But not like that. Never like that. It was so cathartic and hellish. What an experience.
Is that why you're more prone to sharing yourself now?
How do you mean?
You're with your words, with your painting, And now with your other podcast that you're doing.
The sex show?
Yeah, the sex show.
Mara. No.
Or have you just always been an open book?
I think I've always been an open book, but I had an open book. It is the rum. I've always been an open book, but I don't know what it was about that moment. It focused me so hard on myself, and I hated it. But in that, I was able to release it. It was that Phoenix thing,
Except you burned yourself down.
Yeah.
And then rebuilt you from your own ashes.
Yeah.
See?
But I didn't even look at it as it was a gift from my friend Kathy, who had done that. Like, she was the one that gifted me that experience. Again, it was sort of outside of me.
I would say the impetus was, but the reaction was all yours.
Yeah.
And the rebuilding was
way
all yours.
over the top reaction.
Well, I don't agree with that, because when it's a positive thing, I don't believe in over-the-top reactions. If it's a learning experience, I don't believe in over-the-top reactions. If it's a negative experience and someone just goes, yeah, of course, over the top. But no, if it's a learning experience, no, you cry, you laugh, you squeal, it's just one of those things. I would never call that, personally, an over-the-top reaction. And yeah, that's an amazing and honestly enlightening story to hear.
On the other side of it, what other people think about you is none of your business.
Right.
It's a good lesson to learn.
Do you Google yourself?
Not really. No. If I do, it's only to make sure that Hey Human podcast is somehow still showing up amongst the Hey Human facial cleanser that Jada Pinkett Smith does.
Oh shit! Really?
She launched a line of soaps and shampoos and things, and called it Hey Human, and she's humongous.
Yeah.
Star, of course. So
who did who's first though?
Oh, you? Mine, long time ago.
I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, you know how algorithms work. So it's just every once in a while, I just want to make sure it's still showing up, so that if it's not, I actually don't know anything about those sorts of things as to what I would do in order to make sure it was still showing up. But it's fine. Everything is fine.
I don't even know how this shit works. How long have we been going?
An hour, and for God's sakes.
That's not bad.
The sex show that you want to ask about.
Well, I kind of did, because I'm fascinated at that.
Fascinated by
just by the concept of itself. I think it's fascinating that I'm intimate with another person. To watch, and I watch that show all the time. One, because you're on it. Two,
Thanks.
It's fascinating to hear about it. What, like, that is super open. Like, you cover all the bases. Like,
I will say, Mara, who is the sexologist and healthcare practitioner, that is my friend that we do the show together. The show is called Are We There Yet? Podcast show. And Mara is very open and talks about anything that I bring up. In order to maintain the vulnerability, the sanctity of a relationship, it needs to be between the two people or three people or whatever it is you're into, but just it needs to be in the realm of the relationship. And so when I reference experiences that I've had, it's always, nobody knows whether it's present or past. I never use, whatever. She doesn't use names either.
Right.
But she's very much more vocal, and that will never happen with me, because I want to make sure that whomever I am with feels safe and secure, that what happens with us stays with us.
That's a good way to put it. But
it is a very open show, and I think it's important. Sex ed is important.
Fascinating. You know
Plus
what?
the faces I make when she pulls out some of her sex toys.
Holy shit! Yeah, that is some funny. That is funny. I just noticed, because I've heard a lot of episodes. I just noticed that like it just rang, like listening to the words you say. You just say like, "Oh, I had this experience with someone."
Always past tense.
Always past tense. And how you were feeling and all that. And that is the key thing on that podcast.
show. It's not really a podcast. It's a video.
The podcast show.
Yeah. I don't know why we call it.
The vidcast
It's a video
thing.
show, yeah.
You talk about feelings a lot. You were incredibly open about your feelings. It's one of the things that I've always been enamored with you. Like, because we met in a fucking pinball museum playing pinball.
That was fun.
And immediately we get into the topic of feelings. That's just how we went. And that immediately I was like, whoa, okay, this is cool. Every time I listen to the podcast show, or the occasional times we get to talk or anything like that, you are very open with your feelings. Why? Humans are naturally against that. Humans are closed off. They don't like to show their feelings. Many people don't like crying in public. There's the entire concept of being the old, the 50s concept of a man is a man and a woman is a woman and they do not fight. And, it's like a happy home is, all that toxic positivity. But you are just like straight open, like you were saying. When you feel, you feel. When you were crying, you're crying. You sob at commercials and, things like that. What makes you feel? And why do you just open? Because feelings are scary.
Yeah, of course they are.
And they're personal.
Vulnerability is terrifying, of course.
Yes.
And
you make yourself very vulnerable on that podcast show.
Here's the conundrum of that. I say I'm an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert. I don't know which way it goes. I'm introverted. I like to be alone a lot. Mm-hmm. But I love strangers. I can talk to strangers. But as soon as I, quote unquote, catch the feelings or feel...
You close up.
I get walled off. Now, I don't get walled off in that... you don't get to talk to me anymore. I'm still going to be completely honest and open with you. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But the soul of me might go for a smoke break or something, take a shot in the back room. I don't smoke, but you get the idea. It's a good question. I believe that truth is incredibly important. Mm-hmm. Which is such a dumb thing to say, probably, but...
No, that's not a dumb thing at all.
Truth with a capital T. I think vulnerability is so sacred. And the thing about it is, you earn my trust. A person earns my trust. Mm-hmm. I joke it's the 20-80 rule. 20% of me is giving you the benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. And... I am open to whatever the experience is, but that doesn't mean I'm going to just give you the keys to the kingdom.
Right.
You earn that. You earn that through communion and conversation. And I don't mean earn it like in a shitty way. Right. I mean it like we human beings deserve for people to take their time to get to know us.
Yes.
We deserve to look at ourselves that we're worthwhile enough that if we are on Mount Olympus, there's a handful of stairs to get up there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's, if we are all, how do I want to put this? I'm not a prude. I have no problem having sex with somebody I don't love. To have an experience, if I want to have that experience, that's not an issue for me. But I think sex, love, intimacy, all those things, you can have sex and not be intimate with somebody. And you can never have sex with somebody and have the most intimate relationship. And I think that that's lost on folks. Mm-hmm. And it's just not lost on me. That's
interesting. We're actually diametrically opposed on that. I always forget the term, but it's like ace or whatever. I have to have a very deep and meaningful relationship and emotional connection with somebody to even consider being intimate with them. I've never had a one-night stand.
I did once. I hated it. I really
Yeah, it's like the concept of it, like to me, is just like yikes.
Yeah, I was young, and not that, and then again, I have no issue with anybody having them.
No, me neither.
No problem whatsoever. But for me, my brain, seeks the other brain. It wants to chew on it. It wants to grok. It wants to like take it all in.
Fucking zombie.
I'm a zombie. Absolutely. I love brains. And funny and smart. I mean, you could be the troll under the bridge. I will answer those riddles, and then you and I will have a nice dinner, and we'll get to know each other. You know what I mean? To me, it's... The sex part is easy. I mean, tab...
Peg A into slot B,
yeah, exactly.
and or
Slots
C
and tabs
and
or whatever.
Or D.
And whatever floats anyone's boats. And
I think that's amazingly healthy.
Maybe it's just the way I am. I don't know. Here's the thing. It's very difficult to compare and contrast any of that stuff. Everybody, again, entitled to their own way of being. It's.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just talking about between us.
For sure. Yeah. I have had sex with people that I love, but am not in love with. I have been in love with people that have absolutely destroyed me. And I think the older I get, my capacity for love has blossomed so much in that I don't... Look, for me personally, all I can speak is for me personally. So, for me personally, if I someday meet somebody funny, smart, funny especially, that likes to talk about things, whether it's banal or deep, that keeps me and allows me to keep them sacred. And all the things that means. In order to truly be with someone, in my opinion, there is a level of vulnerability that has to happen. The most terrifying thing for any human to face is their vulnerability, their capacity to achieve that. And most people destroy that. You gift your vulnerability to someone. You tell them your triggers or how you've been hurt or what you love or whatever. And a lot of people will use that against you. Right? And that's just the way humans operate because they're self-serving at best and they like to have a leg up or whatever. But in my mind's eye, there is a Brigadoon, there is a Nirvana, there is a place secret and squirreled away that will show itself to me. And in that realm, there is somebody that when I say a secret or when I am as naked as, whatever, naked in all the ways that you can be naked.
Literally stripped bare.
Yeah, that they are so honored by that and vice versa, that they know that I will honor them in that. I have had relationships where you've said something to someone and you think it's within the realm of just each other and then they flippantly say it at a dinner party or something and they laugh about it because they think it's a casual cruelty, I call it. Casual cruelty is devastating, and how many casual cruelties will cut away at you until finally you're like, I have lost so much blood here and I cannot go on. I am dragging myself.
Oh, that is and
I'd rather be by myself.
Yeah, that's something that I'm personally not going to comment on until you decide to have me back on the show, because holy fuck, the last 3 or 4 things you've said, I'm sitting across from you and I'm both smiling God, that would be nice, and then you say something, I'm like, oh fuck, that was last 1, 2, and oh my god.
I can intellectualize it. I know that every single person on this planet treats other people based on how they feel about themselves. We like to think that you and I, that when we're operating within the realm of going out meeting so whatever, that they're oh, I am meeting this person. I am going to experience this person based on what this person is. I call bullshit.
Right.
All we do is bring ourselves to the table.
100%.
And the truth of the matter is no other person on this planet is ever going to really know you either. Y'all just, everybody does the best we can, but I don't know. I'm rambling again. So but it's gone into Tangent City.
But no.
Tangent City, come on down.
Tangent City.
We got toasters. We got non sequiturs.
If you buy 10 tangents, we'll give you the 11th for just 1 penny. This is actually very, very linear. You think you're rambling, but you're making these incredibly cognizant and honestly very it doesn't sound like it to you, but very succinct points.
I appreciate that.
For a very brief moment, you focused on reading. Reading is a very
fundamental.
Yes, it is a very deep and intrinsic joy of mine, and it is fundamental.
I love it.
What do you feel when you're reading? Do you get into the book to the point where you are projecting yourself onto the characters? Are you imagining the setting? Or are you the, omniscient third narrative, that mystical second perspective? Because there's first person, there's third person. Second person is this weird nebulous idea that you're reading something while experiencing something.
It's a great question. I think when I read that I am experiencing it as if I were there, but not interrupting the people. So a specter, perhaps, in the room. They can't see me, I can see them. Mm-hmm. I have certainly had book friends, and I have wanted to live within the world that I'm reading. I was lucky. I grew up in a house where reading was incredibly important. My great aunt, the children's book author.
Yep.
She and I would write these beautifully long letters to each other before she died. Just so wonderful. Aunt Quayle Hawkins. Family friends. Vonda McIntyre. Ursula Le Guin. Beverly Cleary. Frank Herbert.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Heinlein, my grandfather's roommate in college.
I just want to interject. Have you seen the new Dune?
I've seen the first one, not the second one.
The second one's not out yet.
Look, I was so excited on that. First of all, Dune is one of my favorite books of all time.
Same.
All time.
All of them, or the first one?
The first one.
Because shit gets weird.
Yeah, it gets
deeper
weird.
in.
But the first one, favorite books of all time.
Yes.
And that was before I really even grasped the understanding that there was a family connection. My brother Jeremy broke Frank Herbert's Hugo. Whoopsie, he dropped it. Anyway,
this is an entire story that we're
a whole crazy thing. My mother's side of the family very literary, they're very interesting. I sent you that thing.
I know, and I looked through it and I was fucking stunned. But now you're talking about Frank Herbert's Hugo.
I mean, I wasn't alive yet. I was
still
that came along, but
still,
it's pretty cool. So anyway, books, very important. I was dragged along as a little kid to all these literary events and things, and a deep understanding that storytelling was important and that one's own personal story was important. Shout out to The Alchemist. And I love that book. I reread it every year. Love that book. But I feel very lucky in that my parents, who are educators, that they were super weird. and I always joke that my family is a family of colleagues passing each other by the water cooler and saying, "Oh, did you read that book earlier? Or did you see that show? Or what do you think of this? Or that geopolitical whatever?" It wasn't family gooiness. It was that kind of stuff, which, I probably would have benefited from some gooey. But that being said, they were so into things that were weird and off the beaten path and science fiction and fantasy, and what a beautiful way to be raised up. Because if I said, I'm into dragons, no one's saying dragons aren't real, half my family would be like, oh yeah? dragons are cool. Read these 50 books about dragons.
Here's the Dragon Riders of Pern series by Anne McCaffrey.
Everybody was so... Everybody in my immediate family was all about storytelling. It's a great way to grow up.
Yes.
Beside the foibles of horrible parenting.
Well, I mean, there's that. Okay, so, like...
But that just makes you a more interesting person,
right? And this is going to be one of these horrible, fucking hard to answer, just, like, kind of one of those shitty first date questions.
Let's do it.
You're at a dinner. There's setting for 4. It is you and 3 authors, living or dead. Yes, I'm reducing it to 3. Not this you and 5 others or shit. No, 3.
Richard Feynman.
Damn.
That's the first one.
Damn. That's a pick.
Oh, love him. Freaking love him. Living or dead?
Living or dead. No, go for it. If you say the Marquis de Sade.
No, that's not what I was going to say. Dorothy Parker.
Ooh.
And, gosh, this is a tough one.
Yeah, it is. It's like, top 5 movies, yeah. But
no,
then
it's an impossible question. It would rotate all the time depending on moods. Somebody alive who's a writer. I mean, I would go... Are you at this dinner, too?
No.
Okay.
But you can I would pass on the invitation to Neil. I know that's where you're going.
Yes, I would love it. Just because I want to interview him desperately. I think he's a brilliant human being, but he's also fucking weird as hell and quirky and awkward, and his hair is insane. And I just love all those things because I just think...
There's a story about his hair.
I'm sure there is. Like, Tolkien would be a great conversation, I think, although... No, you know what? I picked C.S. Lewis.
Whoa.
I picked C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
When I read the Screw Tape Letters...
That's fascinating.
I never met the man, of course. I don't feel like he would shove anything down anyone's throat. I think it would be this sort of beautiful, philosophical conveation.
I could see that.
Yeah. So I picked that. So who did I pick now? I've already forgotten.
It was Richard Feynman, Dorothy Parker, and C.S. Lewis.
Can you imagine that?
Richard Feynman and C.S. Lewis at the same table?
What a dinner. Woo.
God. That would be like having L. Ron Hubbard and Harlan Ellison. Who actually knew that's a whole thing.
L. Ron Hubbard would be a fascinating interview. I did finally interview a Scientologist. I was so excited. Just because I'm fascinated.
Have you been getting the mail and all that? Like, please come to the Celebrity Center? Okay.
Weird. No.
Oh, lucky.
No. It was really interesting.
That's fantastic. I think we're pushing, an hour and a half now?
I guess. Is there anything you desperately want to... I feel bad. Are we boring everyone?
No. I think it's fucking fascinating, personally. But I do have a series of questions.
Great. Let's hear it.
Now, I've never had a chance to answer these personally. Because, strangely enough, not a lot of people are familiar with the source of these. James Lipton did a show called Inside the Actor's Studio.
Fabulous show.
Fabulous show. And he always asked each and every person the same 10 questions at the end and would get a whole bunch of different answers. I have desperately wanted people to ask me this, and now I get to ask you these.
Okay.
And I'm totally stealing from James Lipton, and I admit it. If my fucking
rest his soul.
We've lost something major because of that.
None like him, damn few, and they're all dead.
Yeah, he did. Unfortunately, he died like in 93. 2 or 3 years ago in May. Weirdly enough, when we're recording this, strange how things happen. So, the 10 questions that were asked, starting with...
Drumroll.
What is your favorite word?
Orange. No, I'm kidding. I thought it was going to be color. My favorite word...
Suddenly that's a Monty Python skit. It's like, what is your favorite color?
What is your favorite color?
Yeah.
What is the flight velocity? My favorite word?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I love saying the word arugula.
Arugula?
I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's fun to say. Arugula.
That works.
It's a great word.
That absolutely works.
It's pretty tasty, too.
Arugula is. What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word. I don't think I have a least favorite word.
Oh, that's interesting. Like some people hate the word, and I'm
Moist?
Yeah, I was going to say I apologize. She said it first.
I did. That was what you were
Yeah,
thinking.
exactly.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I don't have a least favorite word.
All words are equal and valid?
I mean, I don't know about that, but I don't put words on that kind of a...
Wheat.
Do you have a least favorite word?
I'm not the one being interviewed.
I know, but darn it.
Nope, I'm not the one being interviewed. I do, but I'm not the one being interviewed.
No, I'm curious.
What turns you on?
Brains.
Zombie.
Mm-hmm. I'm not talking... You don't have to be a IQ of 4 billion or something. I think funny is so great, and you can't be funny unless you're smart. And I just find it... I think you have to be able to see like patterns and...
I think you could be temporarily funny if you're not smart. There are plenty of
but
non-intelligent comedians, but consistently,
consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. Anyway,
so smart that leads to funny.
I like
and
smart, and I like to laugh. It's fun to be in a room with people smarter than me. I love it.
Right on. I like that. What turns you off?
I don't like bigotry.
Ooh, yeah, that's...
And I'm a huge fan of the underdog. So anyone that is not good to the underdog, don't like that much.
A lot of people are like, root for the underdog, but you're actually like, you believe in the underdog.
I do. I'm an underdog.
Yeah. Thankfully, you're not a hockey fan.
I like watching hockey. I just don't care who wins.
Yeah, exactly. And fucking
No
Maple
offense.
Leafs. It's okay. What sound or noise do you love?
Spraying is a pretty sprung. Do you know what's really fun is to take weird take foods and smush them on a table. You just drop them, go. They all make really different noises. Chocolate pudding, totally different noise than a raw piece of meat.
That's fascinating. That's really cool.
Or splash, or boink, or onomatopoeia words are fun.
I was just going to say that. So interesting. So then, what sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, you know what I don't like is that the squeaky sound of styrofoam. That weird,
like packing peanuts when they go together?
Or that noise that really hot glasses when you're unloading the dishwasher, that when they touch and they
squeak?
just sort of squeak all. Don't like that sound.
Okay, yeah. What is your favorite curse word?
I say I love them all, but fuck is probably a fun one. I don't know. I cunt. I love cunt too.
I mean, who doesn't? I had to say that.
Apologies.
Apologies for anyone that does not.
It's such a fun word.
It really is. It really truly is. What profession, other than your own, or in this case, other than all of yours, would you like to attempt?
Neuroscientist. I love neuroscience. Fascinating. The brain. Whew. There's some stuff.
What profession would you not like to do? Worst one you can think of for you.
For me?
Yeah.
The taster in a loaf of bread company. Because I'm celiac.
That's okay.
I believe they call them bakeries, Susan. Yes.
Congratulations,
I'd be so itchy.
And then the final one, which is interesting because we've kind of covered it before. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Nice to see you again.
Interesting. I like that. That's really cool. It gives a good closure to that, the alpha to the omega.
It's a mystery. And the most delightful, delectable thing in life is the mystery. I will never know all the things. I will never see all the things. I will never hear all the things. I will never taste all the things. I will never understand all the things. So there's always something around the corner.
I really like that thought. And with that, my fountain pen is put away. And I would like to thank you for letting everyone finally hear again. I mean, it's been 200 episodes or 6 years or something like that, to finally hear about you. Now, other than the Hey Human podcast, which you're all listening to, what else do you have coming up? What else are you on? We know the Are We There Yet podcast show.
I'm hoping that at the time this comes out, in celebration of 7
fucking years.
That my short film, The First, editing it, Brian Wilson, no relation to the Beach Boys.
That'd be a little difficult right now.
Yeah. We'll see.
That's fantastic.
I'm really excited. And I'm working on my feature, the new feature. So, yeah, lots going on.
Right on. Well, I hope you all have enjoyed this.
Yay!
And
apologies if you didn't.
If you didn't, it was entirely my fault.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trevor, thank you.
No, thank you. And I hope you have an amazing 8, 9, and 10 years. And I hope episode 371 is as awesome as this one has been.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Take it easy and, well, tune in next time.
Thanks, Trevor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you very much.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Well, that was a wild ride. Thank you, Trevor, for the interview. I had so much fun. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I can't believe it's been 370 episodes in 7 years. It's very hard to wrap my head around that, but I'm so happy to have been on this experience and share all these incredible human beings and interesting human beings and funny human beings and scary human beings and everything in between with you. And I'm so honored that you have shared it with your friends and family and workmates and all of that. I couldn't do this without you. I've learned so much from this show about myself and the world around me, and I couldn't imagine a better use of my time. I've just really, really dug it, and I'm honored that you listened to the show. I know there are truly hundreds of thousands of shows to pick from. The fact that you listened to this one is incredible. So thank you, and happy anniversary to all of us. Be well, be kind, be love, take care of each other. And thank you for 7 wonderful years. I don't know what's coming, but let's keep going. All right? Bye.